At this time, please silence all electronic devices. The commander's call will begin shortly. At this time, please silence all electronic devices. The commander's call will begin shortly.
Take your seats, please. Thanks, class. All right, you're welcome. Thanks for taking a little bit of time to hang out with the Chief and I today. It's been almost a year since I arrived at the Holm Center, and it's hard for me to believe the time has gone by so quickly. But I wanted to sit there and take advantage of the opportunity just to kind of talk with you a little bit, give you an update, open up the communication, see what's on your mind. We'll save some time for questions at the end, and then hopefully just kind of level the bubbles a little bit. So what you can expect for today is we'll go through, we're going to do some awards up front. We're going to try and expedite that a little bit. We want to recognize the folks, but we got some other important things we want to get to. The shirt's going to talk a little bit, the chief, and then I've got some comments, and that should take us to the end. So let's go ahead and go with the awards, please.
Thanks, General Nimai. At this time, we would like to announce Holm Center's 2018 annual award winners. When I call your name, please come forward to receive your award. Please hold your applause until all annual award winners have been announced. The Airman category winner, from OTS, 22nd Training Support Squadron, Staff Sergeant Nikita Wilson. During this period, she revamped the 22nd Training Support Squadron fitness program and aided in the fitness facility refresh. The non-commissioned officer category winner, from AF ROTC, Det 825, University of Texas, Tech Sergeant Andrew Reams. During this period, he orchestrated a statewide ROTC sports competition and instructed 620 cadets during field training. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The senior non-commissioned award officer category winner, from OTS, Master Sergeant Roldan Milian. During this period, he developed the first ever OTS MTI curriculum. This member is also unavailable to receive the award in person. The company grade officer category winner, from AF ROTC, Det 675, University of Oklahoma, Captain Allison Goolsby. During this period, she built AFROTC's recruiting and marketing guide and trained 800 cadets during field training. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The Field Grade Officer Category Award winner, from AF ROTC, Det 420, University of Minnesota, Major Carl Huber. During this period, he designed an advanced research and writing course. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The Civilian Category 1 winner, from OTS, 24th Training Squadron, Mr. Marshall Buford. During this period, he built a tracking program for evaluations and decorations for the 24th Training Squadron and managed a 47% manning increase of the unit. He also won for 2019's first quarter in the same category. The civilian Category 3 winner from Holm Center Academic Affairs, Mr. Houston Markham. During this period, he orchestrated a cross-organizational instructional design course and led the first ever First Sergeant's Academy mediation course. Category winner from OTS 24th Training Squadron, Senior Airman Marissa Fenn. During this period, she organized the first Total Force Training Requester Summit. She also won at the Air University level. The civilian Category 2 winner from OTS 22nd Training Support Squadron, Ms. Crystal Turgeon. During this period, she sustained the OTS $150 million complex, including overseeing several renovations and upgrades. The enlisted instructor category winner from OTS 22nd Training Support Squadron, Staff Sergeant Kristen Renninger. During this period, she overhauled the dorm inventory system and revamped the physical conditioning program. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The officer instructor category winner from OTS 22nd Training Support Squadron, Captain Michael Amato. During this period, he handcrafted 30 field training events for both ROTC and OTS. The officer evaluator category winner from FROTC, Southwest Region, Captain Jesse Beinhauer. During this period, she established a region-level inspection program. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The volunteer category winner from AFROTC Det 075, San Diego State University, Staff Sergeant Jenny Proctor. During this period, she co-authored an Eco-Preserve initiative and oversaw 2 events that assisted 100 needy families. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The Holm Center's Team Excellence winner from JROTC, the Flight Academy. During this period, the team delivered the Chief of Staff's vision within 8 months and produced 94 new pilots in the first year. Congratulations to all of our annual award winners. Now at this time, we would like to announce the Holm Center's 2019 First Quarter Award winners. When I call your name, please come forward to receive your award. Please hold your applause until all quarterly award winners have been announced. The non-commissioned officer category winner from Holm Center Support Division, Tech Sergeant Jordan Bird. During this period, she temporarily filled the role of First Sergeant and Wing Career Advisor. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The Senior Non-Commissioned Officer category winner from AFROTC Det 825, University of Texas, Master Sergeant Andrew Reams. During this period, he managed $215,000 in tuition payments for 5 universities. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The Company Grade Officer category winner from the Holm Center Support Division, Captain Catherine Severance. During this period, she single-handedly led AU's largest SAPM program. The Field Grade Officer category winner from OTS 24th Training Squadron, Major Derek Burks. During this period, he redesigned the United States Air Force Academy Combatives Program. The Civilian Category 2 winner from OTS 22nd Training Support Squadron, Mr. John Hudak. During this period, he authored OTS's technology overhaul plan. During this period, she trained 100 United States Air Force commanders and NCOs. The Enlisted Instructor category winner from OTS 23rd Training Squadron, Tech Sergeant Kai Covert. During this period, he led the Enlisted Professional Development Program. The Enlisted Evaluator category winner from AFROTC Det 645, The Ohio State University, Master Sergeant Stephen Ramirez. During this period, he evaluated 36 mission areas for 2 detachments. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The Officer Instructor category winner from AFROTC Det 028, Embry-Riddle, Lieutenant Colonel Morella Big Mountain. During this period, she founded a leadership research program for the university. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person.
She's here.
She's here.
She's here. She's not precious, though. Thank you.
But it's the least we can do. We're really glad that you're here. Congratulations to you.
The Officer Evaluator category winner from OTS 24th Training Squadron, Captain Brent Eske. During this period, he orchestrated the squadron's first ever reserve officer training class. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The Volunteer category winner from OTS 22nd Training Support Squadron, Senior Airman Russell Gibson. During this period, he coached a youth AAU basketball team to a first place tournament finish. He also won at the Air University level. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. The Holm Center's Team Excellence winner from AFROTC Det 560, Manhattan College. During this period, the team coordinated 3 events with Fortune 500 CEOs and the Air Force Academy Superintendent. These members are unavailable to receive the award in person. Congratulations to all of our 2019 first quarter award winners. Civilians are key to maintaining continuity in the federal government, the United States Air Force, and the Holm Center. At certain points in a civilian's career, their federal service is honored by the presentation of a pin and certificate. We'd like to do that at this time. Please come forward when your name is called. Honoring 10 years of federal service from AFROTC Registrar Division, Mr. Robert Scott. Mr. Scott serves as the ROTC High School Scholarship Program Manager. Honoring 20 years of federal service, from the Holm Center Support Division, Mr. Walter Barnes. He supervises the financial management direction of all the Holm Center accounting services for ROTC, JROTC, and OTS. This member is unavailable to receive the award in person. From JROTC Support Division, Mr. Paul Keeping. He serves as the Headquarters JROTC Support Deputy, working with logistics, credit cards, and administration team. This member is also unavailable to receive the award in person. Thanks to all of you for your continued service. General Nimai would now like to say a few words and recognize the team that organized the Gathering of Eagles breakfast for the Holm Center. Please come on stage, Captain Perry, Captain Miller, and Captain Kovalak.
So I wanted to bring these guys up on the stage today. Congratulations. To offer Holm Center Commander's Coin. But the reason I'm doing it in front of all of you is I also wanted to take advantage of the opportunity to kind of communicate one of my philosophies. So in the past, we've been doing this breakfast for a number of years. It falls on a Tuesday. It's very early after a 4-day weekend. And it was my sense, even though I had not been part of it, that it had not gone very well. And to be quite frank with you, I'm not sure. I saw all the events that they had with the Gathering of Eagles. One of the gentlemen, Colonel Harris, retired as a POW for almost 8 years. He's 90 years old. And they had him up at 6 o'clock in the morning going to breakfast on Tuesday morning. They ran him all day long. They had a bunch of events. And so my point being that we're going to go back and we're going to take a look and go, is this something we should do or not? But here's the important piece for you. If we're going to do something here in the Holm Center, it's going to be good. That's the way I look at it. And so the reason I wanted to bring them up on stage and thank them is I could tell that maybe this had been an event in the past, that there hadn't been a lot of enthusiasm behind, and maybe it wasn't done very well, but we were doing it. And so I said, look, we're doing it. And we can take a look at whether we should do it or whether we want to continue to do it and things like that. But if we're doing it, we're going to do it right. Because anything that we put the Holm Center name on, we want to be done well. We want people to know that if it's coming out of the Holm Center, it's a good quality product. And so the three of you worked together and did a really outstanding job, turned it into a very nice event, and I think that it probably was the finest in many years. So I just wanted to sit there and offer you Commander's Coin and say thanks for the excellence. Appreciate it.
Quick picture there. Just my standing up.
Thank you, General Nimai. Now a few words from our First Sergeant, Master Sergeant Locke.
Thank you. So, good afternoon, everyone. It's Friday Eve. I couldn't think of a better way to spend it than right here, right now, with each and every one of you, as the General and the Chief handed out the awards for all your hard work and dedication. So, first and foremost, thank you for everything you've done. If you did not receive an award, it is your chance. Next quarter, it's coming up. Please submit your awards. And speaking of awards, I have one of my own. So, each quarter, the First Sergeant does a Diamond Sharp Award. Received 5 submissions from Holm Center, so that shows that you are cared about. This is Staff Sergeant through, or Airman through Staff Sergeant that can be submitted. Our winner this round goes to Senior Airman Marissa A. Finn from OTS. So we already heard a couple of things. She won at First Quarter, Holm Center, and at Air University. And I tell you what, I mean, you heard what she said and what happened with her. So just a couple of other things that wasn't already done is she did Read Across America, volunteering to read 14 books to 93 youth, help plan the Spring Fling, 4 credits towards her Bachelor of Science in Nursing, all while she's in her final trimester, right? 3rd trimester. So and she's actually in her 4th trimester now. She's 2 days after, so she should be on mommy days right now. So I want to point your attention real quick. I don't want to spend too much time, but that's my number. It stays on my hip. Even when I'm on leave, you can send a text to that number, and I will get it. All right, so you know the call is going to be forwarded to the first sergeant that's here at Maxwell, but if you need to speak with me anytime, 24/7, 365, you can send a text to that number, and I will return your call. You can send me an email, and I will return your email. Okay, so I'm available to you 24/7, 365. Next slide. So I want to hit on this real quick. This is a memorandum of understanding between Holm Center and Troy University. If anyone here is interested and is wanting to pursue a master's degree in adult education, we have an agreement that if you're doing the academic instructor course, IQT, ITP, APIDD, all these different courses, you can earn credits up to 9 to assist you towards your degree. So it's 11 classes. It's going to knock it down to 8 classes for your degree. It's a wonderful program. If you have questions or if you're interested in doing that and pursuing that, because we are in an atmosphere of education, CRPOCs, Dr. Kevin Amira and Mr. David Lewis, talk to them over at the Academic Affairs. They can help get you set up and get you where you need to go to help reduce that time and get that degree to you. I just wanted to put that out there again to make sure that each and every one of you know that this is available to you and it doesn't go unnoticed. A lot of you are new here and don't know the different programs that are out there. So I wanted to put that out there to you. I have nothing else for you at this time. I'll pass to the chief.
Am I on? I don't know if I need it. First of all, I would like to thank all the tall people that won awards that made me look like a little kid while I was up here. I appreciate it. So, first off, I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be you guys' command chief out here. A lot of you guys know that I came from ROTC. I was in the Northwest region for a year prior to this. What some of you probably don't know is that my Holm Center time started probably about 24 years ago in JROTC, right? The Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, did 4 years there. Can you click it? There you go. Look at me, right? I grew into my lips eventually. So as y'all are laughing at the picture, Colonel Lips is down here like he's been in for 4 years in JLTC and he got 5 ribbons. I wasn't always chiefly, sir. I took some time to get to that part. So since then, graduating JLTC, Baltimore Polytechnic Institute, came in the military. 20 years later, been to 4 different overseas assignments, 6 different stateside assignments, worked in probably 11 different functional areas, CE, Intel, medical, was a 3F5 most of the time, yep, and also a first sergeant during that time. So that's kind of been my career. So I wanted to update this picture, right, and show y'all where I'm at now. You can click it one more time. I literally took that yesterday, okay? So, Colonel Welch is out here like, I've been doing all TCPT all this time and my pecs don't look like that, sir. You gotta work out with me, sir, if you want to look like that. So how did I get there, right? Give me one more clip. Fitness, right? It's obvious, right? What y'all laughing at? This is me, it's yesterday. So, if you look at fitness, in order for me to get to 100 pounds soaking wet to what I look like today, you work at it every day, right? There's a lot of things that you do, whether it's come from lifting weights, whether it comes from cardio, whether it comes from nutrition. There's a lot of things that go into you and fitness in order to look like the specimen that I look like today, right? Give me one more clip, right? But what about, that's the physical part. What about the emotional, the mental, the spiritual part, right? That's another piece that you have to work to every single day to be where you want to be and to meet your goals and to be a better person, right? Are y'all following me? I'm linking this all together. Y'all still staring at the picture. I need y'all to focus on me right now, okay? One more clip. Professional. I'm linking this in professional fitness. What are you doing every day to make yourself better professionally for your careers so you can look like that prototype of perfection that's right there? Okay, yeah, oh yeah, it's the prototype of perfection. I coined that myself, okay? So how does it all tie in? Give me one more clip. This is my focus areas as your command chief that I'm going to be here to provide you for those type of things, right? So the general and I can't go out and we can't lift the weights for you. We can't go out and we can't run for you, right? But we can make sure that you guys are getting the resources that you need to be able to do those type of things yourself, right? You see how this all tying in? See, I just throw this picture up just for no reason at all, right? So here's how I'm going to do it. First with communication, okay? So me and the general were talking yesterday because there's some things I didn't know if I wanted to tell y'all today because I didn't want to jinx it. But one thing that we really want to do is be 100% transparent and let you guys know everything that we're doing, whether it's successful or unsuccessful, but everything that we're doing for you all to be able to complete the mission, okay? You guys probably already seen my 8 megabyte weekly emails that I send out to you. Yeah, he's shaking his head like, yeah, I'm not on the cloud yet. Yeah, I know. I get it, right? But the stuff that I know, I need you to know, right? And the stuff that I pass on to you, I need you to do the same thing to everybody else, right? So I'll continue to send my 8 megabyte emails, right? And I'll push that out to you. I also have a Facebook page now. I'm getting in with the times, right? So if you search Holm Center Command Chief on Facebook, you'll find my page. You won't find this picture. All right, unfortunately, I can't post that one on Facebook, okay? But you will find that page, and we will push this information. As much information I get, I will push out, because I know that on Facebook, you'll get that before you'll get your official email. I get it, I know, okay? Enlisted development. And it goes beyond enlisted development. We're going to focus on everybody, but focus, for me, enlisted development. I want to pause because I want to have 2 organizations brief really quickly on what exactly they're doing. And they brief me every month, and we're making sure that we're getting certain things out to you. Okay, so Sergeant Newman, if you can really quickly brief on the Booster Club, and then afterwards, Sergeant Beckwith will talk about the professional development organization.
Thank you, Chief. Good afternoon.
Can everyone hear me? All right. I'm Staff Sergeant Newman, President of Holm Center Booster Club. I'm going to do a quick introduction with the rest of the Booster Club officer team. So the Vice President of the Booster Club is Staff Sergeant Avon, right over there. He's part of the Holm Center. Secretary, Staff Sergeant Asbury. Treasurer, Staff Sergeant J-Row. He's part of OTS. And last and certainly not least, our Programs Activity Coordinator, Staff Sergeant Poston. He's at headquarters ROTC. So thank you very again. So last week we had the Holm Center car wash, very successful. We made over $490. So thank you very much for your support. We've got to keep this going. We have a lot of events going on. Upcoming is the summer picnic. It will probably be in around July timeframe, but we're getting it scheduled. And the most important one, the holiday party in December. So our next meeting is going to be next week, the 12th of June, at the Det 12 conference room. It's at the OTS Annex. So please come out and show your support. It's going to be at 1400, and we'll provide more information in the emails. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, ma'am.
I'm I'm Sergeant Beckwith. I am the president of the Holm Center's Professional Development Organization. First, by show of hands, who are familiar with the Professional Development Organization? We got some work to do. All right, so I'm gonna start by introducing the rest of our officers. Our vice president is Sergeant Bird, who is TDY at the moment. Our secretary is Sergeant Vanderloop, who is on leave. And last but certainly not least, our treasurer, Sergeant Robinson. Thank you, ma'am. So just to give you a brief overview of what the PDO have to offer, our mission is to develop Holm Center's Airmen, Big A, officers and enlisted, through lectures, discussions, and experience. We are geared towards enhancing relationships between the enlisted and the officer corps by mentorship and communication. So one way to do this is by holding quarterly events. So that is the PDO's goal. So with that, our upcoming event is a performance writing basics course on 9 July, hosted by CMS Sergeant Lewis. More information to follow as the date approaches. A couple of more events we have going on this year. We will have a customs and courtesies course, professionalism course, and a conflict resolution and problem solving course. We also have a Facebook page. If you could search Holm Center's Professional Development Organization on Facebook, our page will populate. We plan on live streaming all of our events in case you are unable to attend. Other than that, I look forward to assisting with the development of our airmen here within the Holm Center.
So another thing for the Professional Development Organization, for those that's in YouTube land, what we are going to try to do, since we have so many GSUs, is stream those events as well, to get those out to the GSUs so we can include them as well. Okay, and then one more piece to that, I'll start my brown bag lunch next week, Wednesday, 11:30 over here at OTS. And basically what that is every month I'll do a brown bag lunch. It's not mandatory, and I focus on the tier group. So next week will be CNCOs. So any CNCOs that want to come eat lunch with me, they are more than welcome to. We can talk about anything you want, okay? Next month will be NCOs, August will be airmen, September will be civilians and CGOs, okay? So that's another piece that I want to get out there, and we'll send more emails out about that as well. And I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. So some quality of life things that we're doing as well. So for the detachments, ROTC, one thing that we're getting that's actually in the works right now is not approved, so don't start getting your TMO ready and any of that stuff. We're trying to change from 4 years to 3 years for ROTC detachment tours, okay? So that's actually at ATC A1 right now. Hopefully we got a lot of backing on this, so we're gonna try to push that through. Also, the BAH GSU update is working. I'm actually having conversations with the SAF level right now, and what it does, nobody's at SAF is gonna push a button and increase your BAH. Okay, that's not gonna happen, but you still will need to go through the whole process. After you do that process, that's what we're looking at, is to make sure that we are actually including all those different factors that should be included for our detachments, okay? And also, there's some changes to the Holm Center Awards program. So what we are, good news, bad news maybe, depending on how you look at it. So number one, we are reducing the number of board members that we use for these boards. So less people, get you guys back to your mission, and we'll focus on the right amount of people that we need to do. Bad news is we're going to move those suspensions to the left, so they're going to be due a little bit earlier than what they used to do. And the reason for that is that we want to make sure we got a good process and a good review process, that we're getting the right people and we're recognizing those people and then preparing them to meet the AU level. Okay, so that's the purpose behind that. So if you see early suspense dates, that's why. And before I turn it over to the general, because he'll hit one of readiness piece with some updates that we got for deployments, I want to, Miss Chisholm. Hello, Miss Chisholm, come on up. She looks so surprised. So I finally got some coins, right? And I can recognize folks now. So Miss Chisholm, when I first got to ROTC, was probably one of the first people I met here. And that smile she's had it since I've known her, right? You talk about customer service in the Holm Center, this is it. She bent over backwards to make things done, even when I called the last minute and need somebody in the course or whatever, when I come down here, and she's always happy. So I just want to recognize Ms. Chisholm real quick with my first public coin for all your hard work and your smile. So now I'll turn it over to the journal.
Okay. All right, I got to go get my notes. It's an exciting time. There's a lot of stuff that's changing. Did I get picked up? Have to ask. Sergeant Hicks, did you see where that sheet went? I put it down on the...
Just a quick note before General meets I'm going to ask a question. Once he gives the opportunity for question and answers, please use the microphone that's in the aisle here. Thank you.
Fold it in half. It was sitting on the awards table. Okay, I'll just sit there and have to see what I can remember. There's a lot of changes that are happening for the leadership. So I wanted to sit there and highlight that. Most of you probably know that General Quas is leaving on July 26th. He'll be replaced by General Webb. General Webb's coming to us from AFSOC. So obviously a highly experienced leader that will bring a little bit different view, and we'll see where he wants to take ATC. There's a lot of changes going on in the Holm Center. We've got obviously Command Chief Evans on board. We're going to round out the team. Colonel Brewer is going to go down to Randolph Air Force Base, and we're going to bring Colonel Patty Sergi up from OTS. She'll be the vice of the Holm Center, which is good. Obviously, a lot of experience more recently from OTS. And then, wow, that's pretty good, man. A lot of experience from OTS, but also she worked in ROTC before. We are bringing in a new civilian to run SD. So Colonel Wales has done a fantastic job. We're going to bring in a fellow named Mike Dennis, who got hired from USAFE, who's done some great work, and I'm really excited to bring him on board. We think that that'll provide some long-term continuity and stability. That position had been in 06. It got downgraded to an 05, and we were having a lot of turnover there, which was affecting all of you, because obviously the support directorate is vital for your missions that you're doing every day, and if we have leadership that's turning over constantly, we can't have that long-term continuity in order to provide the level of service that we want to provide to you. Over in Junior RTC, Colonel Paul Lips will retire. Thank you very much. That'll be here coming up pretty shortly. And Colonel Sanders, who's coming over from the Barnes Center, he's the vice over there, will be taking over Junior RTC with Mr. Scotty Lewis maintaining the continuity for that. We've got a new team in ROTC. Got Colonel Chris Bennett is here in the front row. Fortunately, we are going to be able to hold on to Colonel Ted Welch, so he moved over from the registrar, and now I'll be helping out, and they'll be rounded out with Colonel Martinez and Colonel Moore. Colonel Martinez is here, and Colonel Moore will be joining us shortly. He's on a deployment right now. And then in OTS, to backfill for Colonel Patty Sergi, we've got Colonel Jason Allen, who will be coming in. He's currently out at Nellis Air Force Base, and we'll be rounding out the team with Colonel Bailey in OTS. So there's some of the big changes you can see going forward. Just locked out. There we go, thanks. All right, flexibility. Let me talk a little bit about the ISRD board. So General Cotton and I will attend this board. It's going to be at the end of the month. We couldn't have picked a more complicated name for it. It's the Officer Instructor Recruiting Special Duty Board. Why are we doing this? We're doing this because we recognize that we need to ensure that we have a sufficient quality cut for the officers in a way that's a little bit analogous to what we've done in the past for recruiting and first shirts on the enlisted side. And we've got a lot of fine people here, but to be quite frank, there's some people that I would not trust to be in a recruiting storefront if my own 18-year-old daughter walked in off the street. And that's not acceptable. We need to sit there and have people that we can trust in these vital institutional types of positions. And so this summer, in about 3 weeks, General Cotton and I will go down there. We're going to consider records from hundreds of officers that have been nominated, captain, major, and lieutenant colonel, to include ROTC deck commanders, and that's where we're going to select the next cadre. It will affect officer training school here, and there's a couple of positions at the headquarters in junior ROTC that will also be affected by that. That will bring about some changes. There are a lot of questions about what it will mean for the people that are currently in these positions. I don't anticipate that we will be able to sit there and change the policy until the new people come in. So for example, one of the big changes will be that it will now be a 2-year tour for folks that are going and serving in the ROTC detachments. And I think that's true as well for some of the other positions. So we're going to sit there and aim to bring people in to the positions that many of you are serving in, take advantage of their talent for a couple of years, and then we want to push them back to the functional communities. And the reason we want to do that is we think that that'll enable people to sit there and continue to progress, and we can make it more normalized. So it's not an exception where sometimes we've seen in the past, depending on how long an individual stays within the Holm Center, it's difficult to reassimilate into their functional community. That's very similar to the thing that Command Chief talked about as far as going from 4 to 3 years for the NCOs we've got out in the RTC debts. While you're here for 2 years, you're not going to deploy. And we're also going to give you some preferential treatment on the backside. So these are all things we can do to incentivize people that come into the Holm Center in similar jobs because they're important, and we value that. The one thing that will be retroactive that will affect everyone that's in here is any of us that have served in these kind of institutional positions will get a box that's checked on your officer performance report that goes in front of the board. And so that's another incentive so that we can sit there and start to kind of change the culture a little bit where there's greater value for people that are willing to sit there and serve in these types of positions. The last piece of that is the Secretary of the Air Force is going to update her guidance to the board to sit there and communicate the value that she places on the people like you that sit there and do these things. So these are all positive changes going forward, but I know that one of the questions was, hey, what does this mean for me if I'm already in this position? And you will get the credit on your officer performance, the CERF that goes in front of the board, but you're probably still going to be here for 3 years. You're probably still going to be vulnerable to deployments. Now, let me talk briefly about the deployments piece. That's another concern. Manning, I would say, is pretty high on the list for the chief and I, and I'm most concerned for the ROTC debts, because the ROTC debts, the 145 of them, if you're out there and there are only 4 cadre and one of them's deployed, you took a 25% hit. And there's no depth there to sit there and be able to hand it off to someone else. I know that in officer training school, we've had pretty good success of trying to protect some of the deployments. We've used the DAB code system. We're going to continue to do that, but we're also going to sit there and we're going to extend that to the ROTC debts. So what you can expect is in our deployment shop, if someone gets tapped for a deployment out of an ROTC debt, then we're going to DAB code the rest of the people in that detachment so that no one else gets deployed. That way you won't be down more than one person when you're out in the detachments. And that's true whether it's an NCO or one of the officers that's out there. We need a little bit of help because there's going to be other times where out in the detachments, you might be short a person because of a PCS or because of a long-term medical issue or some kind of another issue, and we won't have visibility into that. So my vision, along with the chief, is to make it so that in an ROTC detachment, you're not down more than one person from what your manning document says you should be. So if you are down by one person, then you need to communicate that if it's not a deployment. If it's a deployment, we'll take care of it for you because we'll have visibility in that. But if it's not due to a deployment, it's due to something else, we need to have insight into that. So we need you to elevate that so that we can support the DAV code so that you don't get tapped with someone on deployment, now you're down 2. So that's the way we're going to handle that. Does anyone... Well, before I go into that, I'll get questions at the end if you'd like to ask about the instructor officer recruiting board. Another thing that we were able to do is we opened up a lot of, we opened up a link that you saw where you could sit there and provide feedback. We got about 30 comments back. And I'll address those and go through and just kind of talk with you about what some of that was. Some of them are things that I think are best suited at lower levels, and I'll give you some examples of those. But I read every one, and I read every one of the comments that was submitted. There were over 30 of them, and I'll continue that. One of the things that we'll do going forward, because I think it's important for me and the chief and the other senior leaders to be able to hear what you're thinking and what you're concerned about, is we're going to leave that link open. So if you save that email and you sit there and you click on it, then you'll be able to submit your comments that you want me and the chief and the other senior leaders to read at any time. And we'll read them all. You know, some of the comments were very well written, very professional, and just to be kind of frank with you, a couple of them were a little bit snarky. That's okay. You know, I would really appreciate it if you would put enough detail in there so I can understand what the problem is. There was one comment that was put in, and it said, are you aware of the friction that exists between the mid and the upper level management, OTS and ROTC. And that was the only thing that was put in. So my answer would be no, but I don't think that's really probably very satisfying to whoever wanted to know that. So if you can sit there and give me a little bit more detail and say, I'm concerned about this, or I've seen this as a problem, then that'll enable us to make sure that we're addressing it. Because we want to get after these things. I view my role, and I know the chief feels similarly, as trying to sit there and set the conditions so you can do what you do. So that you can sit there and carry out the mission every day that in ROTC and Officer Training School creates great second lieutenants, and in junior ROTC introduces hundreds of thousands of cadets to the Air Force and civics and other very important things. So you do that. We don't do that. We're not teaching classes. We're not in front of them. But we need to set the conditions, whether it's due to resourcing or policy or otherwise. And so it's very important to me that we hear back on that. One of the things that I heard and I saw in several of the comments, and I also saw in the climate survey, which I read every one of those as well, was that we're still not quite there in terms of the customer service. So those of you that were here when I stood on the stage back in August and introduced myself to you may have remembered that I talked about the analogy of Chick-fil-A. And I think everyone is aware of the fact that when you go into Chick-fil-A, it is completely different than the experience you get when you go into other fast food restaurants. They are always very pleasant. They will always sit there and bend over backwards in order to make sure the customers are happy. And at the end, what do they say? My pleasure. So I don't expect that we're going to be able to get to that level, but I'd like to move the needle toward that. And I think that probably many of you would like to work in an environment that's like that. It was clear that we've got some issues going on with our voicemail. We've got some issues going on with email and things like that. And so what I'd like to do now is bring up Captain Severance, if she could just talk for a minute or two about some of the initiatives we've got in order to try and get after some of those concerns.
Hi, Holm Center.
We're good to go. All right. So I'm Captain Kate Severance. I work in the SDP section. That's your support directorate's personnel and manpower division. And that division houses your commander support staff, your UDM, your manpower liaisons, civilian liaisons. So anything personnel manpower, that's what we do. And like General Nimoy said, recently there have been some concerns about the responsiveness of the customer support function. And so I want to say first and foremost that our first priority is customer service. What we do every single day is to serve you guys, and that is our main objective. And so there are 3 specific things I want to share with you that recently we have done or have been doing to make sure that we're responsive to your needs. So the first thing is voicemail. And thank you to whoever caught that, brought that up. We have fixed the issue, except for a couple people who are out of office, but as soon as they get back, we will fix their voicemails as well. The second thing is we have ordered new phones so that we can forward your calls. So that way, if anyone's at lunch or has an appointment, we can make sure that your call is answered in a timely fashion. And we actually did that a couple months ago, so we should be seeing that shortly, seeing those new phones. And then the third thing, and this is really important, is this CSS org box. So like any other shop, we have people who are deployed, who are on TDY, on leave. And so if you want to make sure that your emails are seen and they're responded to, use our org box. Everybody in SDP has access to this org box and checks it daily. So please, please, please use it. Also up here, we have phone numbers for me and Miss Tangela. Miss Tangela is our division chief. We would be more than happy to talk to any of you guys about any further questions, comments, suggestions you have. We can't fix a problem unless we know what it is. So please take the time, reach out to us. We'd appreciate that feedback. And with that, thank you for your candid feedback. If you have any questions, call us. Thanks.
You'll have to forgive me. I got to keep my thumb on this thing or I'll lock it, and then I won't be able to figure it out. There's a couple of items I wanted to, that I missed that I'll highlight to you. I'll kind of give you a little bit of an update of what's going on in OTS, ROTC, and junior ROTC, and then we'll go to questions and wrap this thing up. Let me talk promotions, officer promotions. I've gotten a lot more knowledgeable on officer promotions, and I'm going to be frank with you, they're not going very well in the Holm Center. Okay? We're getting ready to nominate officers for promotion to full colonel 06. Last year, I looked back at the statistics. Air Force-wide, of all the officers that met the board, there were 53% that were selected. AETC always lags the Air Force. It has always been that way, and it probably will be. And that is just what it is. The AETC promotion rate was about 43%. The Holm Center promotion rate was half of the AETC promotion rate. It was only 21%. So 3 of 14 officers that my predecessor, General Thompson, pushed for 06, one of them got a definitely promote, which the rate is like 99% across the Air Force if you have a definitely promote in the promotion zone. Was not selected, but 3 of 14 were. On the reserve side, we nominated 14 or 16, I think it was 16 officers for 06, and only 1 was selected. So that is what it is. I am doing what I can to get after it, and what are the things that I'm doing? One of the things that I saw when I came in is we didn't really have a very good stratification plan. And it wasn't transparent, it wasn't published, and it wasn't available. Now, I'm not going to take this thing and send it out to all of you for obvious reasons, but what we are doing now is we're being very deliberate, and we're taking input from the supervisors and the commanders to make sure that we have a way to cross-level the field, especially for the folks that are out in the GSUs, and figure out where our talent is. It's very hard to do. It's a little bit easier, to be honest with you, in a place like Officer Training School, where everyone's working in the same area. But how do you figure out, how does the captain that's out of the University of Washington doing compared to the captain that's at Duke University on the other side of the country? So we've come up with some processes to try and formalize that and get after that a little bit more effectively. I'm going after the individual processes in order to do the best I can. I'm spending a lot of time on the PRFs and spending a lot of time on the nominations for IDE and SDE. The IDE and SDE nominations just went in, and so if you're someone that was interested in going to IDE and you go into my vector, you can see what I put in there, and at any time that I, as a senior rater, have an opportunity to influence your opportunity for the future, so in this case, nominating you for IDE and SDE, if there's something in there that doesn't make sense to you, then what I need you to do is I need you to reach out to Ms. Tabitha Martin in the office or my exec, Major Napier, and ask for an appointment. Because I have a responsibility as a senior rater to articulate to you why I did that. So if you look at your nomination and it says not nominated because this officer was not competitive, and you don't think that's right, or you don't understand why that is, then I would encourage you to reach out and make an appointment. Because I'll make time to sit down with you one-on-one, and I'll go over your record, and I'll go, this is what my decision was, this is why I made my decision, and this is where I see you. And furthermore, based on what you're telling me you want to do in the future, here's some options that I see for you. I owe you that as senior rater. That's the least that I can do, and I'm committed to doing that. So I would encourage you to go back and take a look at that. One of the comments that we got for the feedback was that, hey, no one told me that. Take a look, and if you don't like what you see and I'm on there as a senior rater and you have my signature, then let me know. Reach out to me. I'd be happy to sit down there and talk with you about it. Let me kind of run down some of the stuff that's going in the different parts of the Holm Center. So in Air Force Junior ROTC, we've got a problem in that we've got about a $10.5 million shortfall. So this is one of the things I'm going after. This bill ends up getting paid year to year, but it causes a great deal of frustration among our FM folks who have to go back and figure out why do we have a bill that is not funded in the Air Force budget. And so we're going after that. I've had several meetings on this with General Cotton. He's engaged with folks up in the half at the 4-star level, including the chief. And so we're trying to get after that so we can reduce that. They've done some great work on the Junior Flight Academy. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to keep that going. Last year we sent through 120. This year we've got funded for a number of slots of 174. Most of them are Junior ROTC. There's about 20 that are ROTC and then a handful from the Civil Air Patrol. But we were able to sit there and protect that money and get funding from General Quast because of the outstanding work and how positive that program's been. So there's a lot of great stuff going on in Junior ROTC. Had a chance also to go down to the drill competition in Daytona Beach and saw a lot of really super motivated 16-year-olds, and it just was very encouraging for me. Over here in Officer Training School, we're running the OTS ACP program. That's got a lot of attention. You've seen probably some articles in Air Force Times and other things like that. So that's going to be a 14-day or about a 3-week training course, and we're going to run a couple of beta variants where we put people through. So there's a tension there we're trying to balance in that we know that if you're a master sergeant and you're going to officer training school, you know how to do things like put on a uniform and march and things like that. So we probably can leverage some of that. But at the same time, we know that we get a tremendous benefit from having you in that same class with someone that maybe isn't prior enlisted and is right off the street. And so when they sit in a lecture and they learn about a first shirt, there's a lot of questions that they're maybe afraid to answer that don't quite sink in, and they can sit there and ask that individual that is going through as a cadet getting ready to earn their commission as a second lieutenant that's been in the Air Force for 10 years. We also are looking at things like, we agree that there's a benefit in leveraging that experience, but there's a cost too, right? Because someone's got to come up with a different syllabus, we have to run it, and so it runs a little bit contrary to the vision that Colonel Bailey has been working on, where we're going to put everyone that goes through officer training school through a common syllabus, whether you're going from what we used to have as commissioned officer training or total force officer training. And so there's a lot of value in that. Those are the types of things that we're working, but I'm real happy with where OTS is at with combining the two syllabus. I know that the two classes are running concurrently, and then later this year in August, we're postured to actually do the first integrated class. A lot of concern about that, but I think that's very, very positive. The idea of providing everyone that goes through officer training school a common foundational experience before they go off into their cylinders of excellence within the Air Force. Eventually, we expect that we're going to have not only the line, but the majority of the non-line officers, pretty much everyone except for the active duty doctors and the reserve, some of the reserve medical folks going through this longer 8-week course. Very, very positive stuff. In Air Force RTC, we're continuing to look at how can we push authorities down to the lower levels. So the tension there that I have to work through is when I have 145 programs like the Junior Flight Academy for Air Force RTC, letting cadets, I think we're going to have about 600 of them that are going to have the opportunity to go and get some flight training paid for entirely by the Air Force, so kind of growing that Junior RTC Flight Academy program to the Air Force. Some of the detachments have been more successful than others. I know UTSA, the cadets went out and raised some money, about $6,000, and they were to get some PTN equipment that was available to them and set it up. We're not at the point now where we're ready to sit there and put equipment in every one of the detachments. We're talking about it for RTC and Junior RTC, but the things that are going through my mind is, if I go and I pay, let's say, $5 million to put flight training equipment in a bunch of detachments or Junior RTC units, I put it out there, we set it up, everything's great. 4 weeks later, the thing doesn't work. You turn it on, blue screen of death, or it gets cracked because someone tripped into it or something like that. Who's going to maintain that? So now I got to have a service contract, or I got to have a plan to sit there and take the component out and replace it, things like that. So I'm not saying that it's not warranted, and I'm not saying that it's not doable, but a lot of times when the decisions get up to my level, those are the types of resourcing things I'm looking at where it's real dollars. And oh, by the way, there's only, if you think of it, it's kind of like a plate with a bunch of peas on it. And so that plate will hold a certain number of peas, and that's our budget. And so if I sit there and I throw some more peas onto it in terms of a different program or a new initiative, some other peas are going to come off. What my goal is to make sure that we have the right peas on the plate so that we're putting our money against the best possible initiatives in terms of what do we get for a benefit. And we don't always do that. I know there's some fat out there, but sometimes it's difficult to find. But what I don't want to do is I don't want to buy a new initiative where I have $5 million for flight training equipment and then I lose the opportunity to do something that might be more important to me. So those are a lot of the types of things that I'm looking at up at my level. I think right now in the Holm Center, we're doing some pretty good work. I think we're on a very positive trajectory. I'm going to continue to be here for another year. That was something that was told to me by General Cotton when I showed up. For a lot of reasons, we've had a lot of people in my position that have served for 1 year and then retired. And I think that's very difficult for the organization. And I don't think that it's very efficient. I don't think it's very effective. So I'm glad that I'm going to be able to stay for another year. That's going to give me an amount of time to sit there and kind of build on the initiatives that I've started and set the Holm Center up for success in the future. I'm committed to doing what I can to make it so it's easier to do your job. And I really do appreciate the people that submitted comments, and I always enjoy the opportunity to sit there and hear from you if there's something you think we could be doing better. I just ask that you listen to us if we sit there and offer something maybe you hadn't heard. Sometimes I use the analogy, and I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this, but when I was a teenager, I thought I was a lot smarter than I was. And I remember one time when I was sitting in my bedroom and I had just had a fight with my mom and I was really ticked off. And I was sitting there kind of talking to myself. And I didn't realize she was listening. But I basically went on this little diatribe and talked about how when I was a parent, I was going to be so much better. And my parents didn't understand what it was like to be a kid, and they'd completely forgotten. And my life was woeful. It was awful. All these other things, which, to be honest, is complete horseshit. I'm embarrassed that I even said those things. So a few years later, I had my own kids, and I looked at how they were, and I heard myself saying the same things that my parents told me. And what suddenly occurred to me in a flash was, It wasn't as easy as I thought it was to be a parent. But I didn't know that. And I judged and I assumed that, that because I had not been a parent and because I couldn't see how difficult it was, that it was easy. And that was not the case. And so I just share with you what my own experience in the Air Force is. I've done that same thing. When I was a captain, many a times I would sit there with my other captain buddies and I would go, you know what? If I was running the Air Force, I'd do this. Or I can't believe we do that, and those types of things. And a lot of it was naive. Some of it was good. Some of it was on the mark, but a lot of it was naive. I am not saying we do things perfectly in the Air Force. There are a lot of things that we should do better, and we will strive to continue to do so. And that's why I had Captain Severance and the others sit there. And hopefully what you're taking away from this is we are interested in that. We want to get after it and we want to make it better. But what I would just ask from you, maybe in return, is that you kind of be open to thinking about, what am I missing here? Because it's been my experience as I get further along at higher levels, when I look at 3 and 4 stars, and I look at members of Congress, and I look at the administration and other entities that I've had the opportunity to deal with as I get a little bit more senior in my career, it's not that easy. It's really, really hard work. And that's why sometimes it doesn't work out and we do really dumb things. But usually there's a good explanation for why we're doing a dumb thing. That doesn't mean that we should do a dumb thing, and that doesn't mean that we need to, but it means that it's just hard. And so I just ask you to kind of consider that. So with that, I really appreciate everyone spending a little bit of time. I have gone 8 minutes over, and I apologize for that. I blame my inability to keep track of my note sheet. I would like to sit there and give an opportunity, though, for anyone that has a question before we break and allow you all to go back to the important work of the Holm Center. Does anyone have a question they'd like to ask the Chief or I? Please. Thank you for being so brave. You want to just shout it out from there? Go ahead.
I'm brand new, and
Okay.
I'm very excited to be here. I'm a guard on some MPA days. But I have a husband who's AGR, and something that's been fascinating to he and I is he's worked with the youth, and he would love to do JR, which is his retirement thing after his AGR for.
Yep.
And I was just through SOS, and I heard a lot from General Kelly, and A1 is making a lot of arrest changes in personnel.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, you have to be retired before you can actually put in for JROTC. Is that
The
something
unit.
they're looking at to be able to make that a smoother transition?
So I have not heard anything about an initiative to change that. We are always looking for fantastic people that are motivated to do that. In my humble opinion, that is probably one of the areas where we get the greatest return for the taxpayer's dollar in the entire Department of Defense. Because the people that are doing that are going to collect about half their pay for breathing and waking up in the morning. And then the rest of the pay that they get, which is the delta between their reserve pay and what they would get if they were still on active duty, is paid through the school system by the Department of Defense, and it's also funded in part by the school system. It's about a 50-50 break. So that's money very well spent. I think the longer-term trend that I see in junior ROTC is actually to move a little bit more toward the civilian side. So I don't see necessarily an opportunity. We would like to smooth it over, and maybe there's some things that we can do to make it easier for someone that's on active duty so that they can more quickly get in that position. I don't know what the rules are off the top of my head, but we'll look into, what can we do to make it easier for someone to transition. I think that's probably where we would make the most return on the investment there. What I see is we're going to probably continue to primarily leverage the Guard, Reserve, and Active Duty and Officer Training School and Air Force ROTC, and junior will primarily be civilian. But I'm very, very thankful for the people that we have out there in the units as well as the people we have in the headquarters, because they're doing great work. I was doing a little bit of math, and I looked through, and I was trying to quantify what the value is of junior ROTC in terms of what the Air Force gets out of it. We all recognize there's tremendous value from a citizenship perspective and the influence on the kids' lives and things like that. You don't have to go far, just go down to Lee High School and see what difference it's making for some of the kids here in Montgomery. But by my math, a kid that goes through junior ROTC is 10 times more likely to end up joining Air Force ROTC than a kid that is not in junior ROTC, and he's 26 times more likely to go to the United States Air Force Academy. So I know that those things are having not only a very positive effect on the communities where they're at, but they're also having a very high rate of return investment in terms of what are we getting for quality people in the Air Force. So, thanks. Appreciate your question. Okay? Any other questions? Okay. Thanks for coming out. Here in a second, you guys are going to be dismissed. The Chief and I will stay here up at the front. And so if you had a question that you want to ask or something that you feel like didn't get through, then we would welcome your comments. Again, we read every single one of the comments that were submitted anonymously, and we will leave that open, and we will continue to do that. So that's it. Thank you for coming out. Have a great day. Carry on.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the committer's call. Please make sure you congratulate all of our Home Center Award winners.